Yo guys, what's going on? RoundedTikTak here, and we are finally getting around to covering Azalea Clarke. Now, I don't lose missions often, and I don't mean that in some pompous way that, you know, that I'm better than everybody or anything like that. It's just I'm lucky enough to basically handpick my teammates that have been playing this game for a very long time, who come and hang out and support me on the stream, and I always get top tier people to play with. Since I have those kind of players to play with, they all basically know how to play the game. I don't have to deal with AFK, I don't have to deal with, you know, leeching, trading, all of that stuff. We're there to do the mission, get out as fast as possible, and continue playing with viewers and stuff like that, doing giveaways, all of that stuff. Today was a little different. I lost 3 missions back to back to back, which hasn't happened ever, I want to say. And one of them we shouldn't have lost. It was only a level 100 mission. The one common denominator about all 3 of these missions, however, was I was playing Azalea Clarke and Cyberclops, but mainly Azalea Clarke. Now the funny thing is, through testing, she has the absolute best shock tower out of the whole bunch. Out of the heroes that have beefed up shock towers, she has the absolute best one damage wise out of the whole bunch. Maybe not CC wise, but definitely damage wise. Not by a metric crap ton, but she definitely does do more damage, even though it may not seem like that. However, Outlanders in general are neutered. They used to be the absolute best class in the entire game before the hero rework. Grizzly and Reclaimer were the top 2 heroes, even out damaging any soldier or ninja before the hero update. That has changed, and it has changed dramatically. Every single nerf that they put into an Outlander's kit has not been replicated elsewhere, whereas certain other perks have. The crit damage, huge crit damage buff on Sledgehammer for assault weapons or Beetlejuice for pistols used to have somewhat similar perks back before the hero update, but they haven't been replicated for a Outlander, such as Snare, such as energy teddies, such as, you know, a couple of other things. And I believe, you'd have to double check the patch notes, but I believe they nerfed the base damage of Teddy anyway. Regardless, she doesn't have a Teddy, so there's no real point to compare it to that. But I just wanted to mention that Outlanders in general are neutered. Any sort of high level mission that you're going to be playing, you will be much better off playing a soldier, ninja, or even a constructor than an Outlander. The only way you would ever play one of these heroes in hard content is something like a Frost Knight, or if you just happen to like the kit a lot. Anything above 145, you're not going to be able to kill much of anything with your entire kit being spammed, unlike a ninja, or unlike a constructor, or unlike a soldier, where they have shorter cooldowns and decent damage no matter what. Sorry about going off on a little rant here, but it sucks that we get a new mythic hero who has a very mediocre kit, even though it does something interesting. She does have a fantastic team perk though, and we'll talk about all of that right now. So let's talk about Azalea Clarke, the brand new Mythic Outlander that you can get from completing the quest line that we have, Up and Beyond, or whatever it may be called. Is she worth using? Just as much as you would use any other Outlander. That's the issue. She's a mythic that does something special, but it's so mediocre that it really doesn't matter. Let's take a look at her first perk. Increases ability energy damage. Remember, energy damage by 15.5%. Additionally, shock tower explodes, dealing 107 energy damage. Her actual team perk is a knockdown version of this, where ability energy damage by 15.5%. Now, to be honest, the exploding shock tower, although cool and actually the best damage shock tower in the game, is not enough to make her super unique. When you have heroes that do stuff like Blast from the Past or 225% crit damage, stuff like that, this is nowhere even close to it. Ability energy damage by 15.5% is useful in some builds, but it's only if you're going to a heavy ability based hero, and that's very, very rare because of the shape that the whole entire Outlander tree is in. Now, bioenergy source is what you might want to run. Bioenergy source is absolutely what you want to run. But before we get there, I want to actually go talk about Zap. Zap is probably the absolute worst perk in the entire game. Or close to it, definitely bottom 5. Zap has your back, dealing 105 base energy damage to a random enemy every 6 seconds. It requires 2 space explorers. This is a double whammy. The damage is okay. At max level in a full party, it was hitting for about 86,000 damage, which isn't bad. But every 6 seconds, that's a long time. If you divide 86,000 by 12 or by 6, you're looking at about 12,000 damage per second, which is terrible. It's terrible when other guns are hitting for up to 1 million, or other perks like, again, Blast from the Past make you hit for over 1 million. This is very, very, very bad. Do not use this team perk. On top of that, it requires 2 space explorers. So just like the Dino heroes, you have to kind of configure your build and lose out majorly in other ways just to bring this thing. This is possibly the worst, one of the worst team perks, and if it does not get buffed, I will never use it. And it sucks because it's a little robot that talks on your shoulder and it makes jokes and it's fun and it's cool looking, but it's just not worth bringing ever. So that's out of the way. Now let's talk about bioenergy source. You guys know what it does. Every one of these ability based heroes will continue to help regenerate your shield and allow you to stay alive. She has phase shift, which allows you to spam this ability when you need to, when you're in trouble. She has 2 decently short cooldown abilities with Seismic Slam and the Shock Tower. Now, could you think about possibly perking her up? Well, me personally, this is how I did it. Not saying this is the absolute best, but this is something you might want to try if you feel like using her. 4 on the floor. Seismic Smash leaves as a pulse zone with 0.5 tile radius at the end, which deals 56% energy damage over 4 seconds and bounces husks inside. This provides a little more CC to her kit, does energy damage, so it bases that 15.5% extra damage. If you do not have this hero, because I believe he was like an exclusive, you can use, and I would highly recommend, Vanguard Southie, if I can find him. There he is. Vanguard Southie decreases Seismic Smash cooldown by 27%. Obviously, with this hero, you're going to buff either her Shock Tower or her Seismic Slam. But since her Shock Tower is the hardest hitting one in the game, I know I keep saying that she has the best Shock Tower, so I might as well prove it to you. This is footage from my buddy Crunchpack. I'll link his YouTube in the description if you want to check out the full video. This is Wild Fragment. All these heroes and commanders are just swapped out for the testing, and you can see he doesn't even kill a vast majority of the husks. The next one up is Shock Specialist, and he has increased damage on his Shock Tower, and again, does not kill the vast majority of the husks. The last one we have is Azalea, and this is kind of important, but she drops her Shock Tower and she does get the Zap perk, which is what is in the build I'm showing you, and it clears out most of the husks. There you go, just some proof. Let's get back into the rest of the build. I would focus on that. Static Cling is Shock Tower applies affliction damage, which deals 50% damage per second for 3 seconds. Now, what it doesn't tell you is it scales off of the enemy or the damage done. So the normal, you'll see it in the footage, the normal amount I was hitting for, let's just say it was about 123,000. That's the Shock Tower exploding. The affliction was hitting for like 55k for 3 seconds, which is decent. That is why we're bringing this hero, period. Up the voltage increases Shock Tower damage by 33%. Pretty self-explanatory. Electroshock increases the Shock Tower impact. Now, The build is trying to be like a CC crowd control, decent damage kind of build, and it does work somewhat, but there's just better heroes to bring with better weapons. But we're going to throw the impact of Shock Tower. We're going to knock it up. And then lastly, we're bringing Plasma Arc. You can change this if you want to. It's fine. It's not the best, but it's fine. Energy damage has 20% chance to zap nearby enemies for 58% damage. Now, if you are using this perk, you might not notice it, but it does provide a small amount of crowd control when it does proc. It doesn't proc that often, but when it does, and if it does chain off multiple enemies, it can add up to a decent amount of damage. The issue with the hero itself is not her kit. Although it's a weaker kit, it still should be able to play. If you bring this to a 170 or 190 or 160 mission, you're going to do very poorly. You don't have Blast from the Past to stay in the fray like you need to when you're playing a character like this. You have nothing to kill anything or any ability from range. You do not have a double jump, and you only have 3 phase shifts. Can you get in and out and drop a shock tower every 20 seconds? Sure, but the damage on the shock tower is not instant either. It takes about 3 seconds to explode. So if there is a target that you're trying to kill, which it's not going to kill anything anyway at higher level, it'll maybe half health or even just 1/4 health these smaller husks. You're going to continue to run into problems and either miss the actual target you're going for or get killed while you're out there. All right, guys, that's it. A broken hero with a very subpar team perk that I really just don't recommend using. Although her shock tower is one of the absolute best in the game, the hero itself just makes it kind of useless. Well, the fact that she's an Outlander. That's all I have to say about Azalea Clarke, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, think about subscribing. I post videos like this about 5 times a week, full hero breakdowns and trap tunnel guides. We would love to have you as part of the pack. If you guys like live streams, I stream about 4 to 5 times a week at twitch.tv/RoundedTikTak. And lastly, if you're looking for a different way to support the channel, my creator code is OOTIKTAKOO, and that works with anything on Epic Games Store. Thank you guys so much. I will see you on the next one. TikTak out.